Hello, everyone. Good evening.
Hi, teacher. Good evening to hopefully you'll be fine and healthy with our classmates. How are you doing, teacher? How was your day?
Thank you very much. It was wonderful. So, let's start with our tonight's session. The last session, actually, we had introduction to what we will expect on the listening and the reading section. And in tonight's session, we'll cover the writing and speaking sections of the TOEFL iBT test. We'll discuss what the tasks formats are, what are the requirements, and how they're finally scored. Because, the writing and the speaking sections are productive sections. It means the test taker produces a content, and that should be scored based on a specific criteria. That should be scored based on a specific norm and standard. So that would be the rubric. That is called the rubric. So we'll not somehow go into detail. We'll have just an introduction tonight, and when we come back to the sections detailed explanation, so we'll go to the detailed explanation about each one. So as we have, and you have also stated your ideas, you've explained that one, the other session on what we will expect, and the TOEFL iBT writing and speaking section. And so we'll directly start this. So first of all, let's go over the overall tasks that we might face on both sections, the writing and the speaking section. The writing section, actually, we have to type our response based on specific tasks directed on the test, and the ETS will score our responses, and it will be after the test. So the tasks that are on the writing section, we have build a sentence task. That's the first part, build a sentence task. Some parts are not organized, or we have scrambled words and we have to organize them. And finally, it should create a complete sentence demonstrating the grammatical accuracy, which is giving a complete idea. The second task is write an email, which we have to write a response, write an email to the person in an appropriate formal tone and register. So that's the email section. The next section is the listen. Sorry, it's academic discussion. It is part of his speaking. So the next section is the write for an academic discussion task. So we have build a sentence, write an email, and write for an academic discussion task. These three are the writing sections we have. These are the tasks we have on the writing section. The next is with the speaking. The task types include these two. First of all, we have the listen and repeat task, and secondly, we'll have the take and interview section on the test. There is an interview, so we'll take a look at how it looks like on the real test. So let's go into a bit detail about each one. So the writing section, as we have had, this section targets our ability on understanding foundational language skills, or whether we are able to communicate effectively in the written form or not. And that writing or written communication might happen in an academic or everyday life. So it can be campus based, it can be everyday life task. As an example, for example, email. The email task is something that can be required in or outside the campus life. It is both academic and routine, right? So every person in the modern day, actually it is a requirement that every person should know how to write an email. For example, whether you're working in an office, you're working, for example, in a specific organization, you're somehow studying. So any kind of written communication, one of them is email. So email writing is an important skill. So it can be very important. Or similarly, if we specifically go on to academic discussion task, which is another part, so it's different. The important note is that the writing section and the speaking section, they are not adaptive, as I have already stated in the previous session, that only we have the reading and the listening as adaptive parts, but the writing and the speaking sections are not adaptive. They're not based on performance. And we have discussed what do you mean by adaptive. So it's not adaptive. So the three tasks that we have on the writing section, as I already stated, that's build a sentence task, write an email, and finally write for an academic discussion task. These are the three task types that we may face on the writing section. So let's go on to the first task. That is called build a sentence task. The first task we face on the writing section. On build a sentence section or task, first of all, we will face two people and they might communicate two sentences, or each of them will exchange two sentences and part of that one is not complete. Okay. The first sentence is exactly what we have as the scenario. That scenario can be, for example, submitting an assignment. It could be registering for an event. It could be meeting with peers or any other normal topics that we might face. So there is a specific sentence that explains the scenario or asks a question or tells a specific statement. And then the second sentence contains blanks. It contains spaces that we have to put these crumbled words after one another in the right order to make a complete sentence. So the second sentence will contain blank spaces. So those blank spaces should be arranged, okay, with words, or they should be filled with words that they can give you a complete idea based on the first sentence, based on the scenario that is given at the beginning. So sometimes there are some extra words and phrases which we'll see, and the result of that part should be a grammatically correct sentence, and it also is appropriate based on the context of the given part. So before going to the other details, let me show you the picture. It looks like this, okay? First of all, we have the first scenario, okay? I think it is the first guy asks a question, right? What was the highlight of your trip? So it is the first sentence, okay? So it is a kind of greeting. It is a kind of asking for information. and the second person has answered this question. But the thing is, the words are scrambled. We don't know actually, or it is not already arranged on the test. They're scrambled. They're disordered. We have to put the right word on the right position in order to give a complete meaning, a complete sentence that is directly related to what we have on the first sentence. Or it should be an answer to the first sentence, if it is a question. Often we have a statement at the first sentence, and the second sentence will give comment to the first sentence. So these are blank spaces. These are blank. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're also called underscores. It means we have to choose 5 words from these scrambled ones and put them in the right order to make a complete sentence. This is how it looks on the real test. So there is a scenario first, then we have on the second sentence a scrambled part. We have to build a sentence completely to make the right meaning. So this is how it looks like. Let's go back to the other key details that's related to build a sentence task. The key information that we might really need is there are around 10 build a sentence question in the writing section. It means we might face around 10 of these sentences on the test, and we have to organize them, put them in the right order to give a complete meaning. And about 6 minutes to complete the section. It means around 45 seconds each sentence. Okay, each of them takes around 45 seconds to complete. The next is each question is scored as either correct or incorrect. No partial credit is awarded. What do I mean? What does it mean actually? When it says no partial credit is awarded, it simply means that if you even make one mistake or one of the words is put in the wrong place, so that's considered incorrect. Although the other words are correct, although the other words are put in the right position, but one of them is put incorrectly. So it is considered as incorrect answer. Okay, so there's, as it says, there's no partial credit. So these are the key details that we will have on the real test. The next is how it evaluates, or what it evaluates, simply. It simply evaluates the test taker's ability on understanding the sentence level grammar. The important part here, grammar is very important. Second part is, it is evaluating the test taker's ability to construct appropriate responses in short interactions. Appropriate response in short interactions. How the person or the test taker recognize the interaction between the first person and the second person. Can he or she make the right sentence to answer the first sentence or not, or to complete the first sentence or not? That's again the evaluation criteria. So beside it, on the actual test, so whenever we are moving to a word or phrase, to the first blank, the blank word, or that word which we somehow position, if it is at the beginning, it will be automatically capitalized if needed actually, but on mock tests it's not like that. So overall, this is how it is. First of all, we have got the scenario, right? That first sentence, which the student A or person A says, and then the second sentence contains blank spaces, and we have to put these scrambled words into them in order to complete the sentence. So, just for 1 minute, read this and put the words in the right order and comment your answer. Comment your answer right in the chat box. What do you think? Which words or how the answer is? Is it visible to everyone? Okay, so complete it. And yes, Miss Ferishta.
Okay, teacher. So just I share my own perspective. So if I complete this, comment. I would like to say that the tour guide who showed us around was fantastic.
Okay, the tour guide. So tour guides, one word. Tour guide, it's considered as one. And who, second.
Yeah, where? Since
showed around, the third.
We can use where.
Was fantastic. So 2 blank spaces are remained here. Yep. So who's next here? The tour guides showed the tour guide showed who.
Excuse me, sir. It was mistake. I had planned to put who be in front of the show.
Who showed as around the old city?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, that's great. That's the correct one. The tour guides who showed us around the city were fantastic, not was. Because we have tour guides, it is not one person. Understood? Okay. Very good. So that is how it looks. Okay. It is called build a sentence task.
Excuse me, teacher. I have a question.
Yep.
The question was about what was. That's why I answered by was. Is it correct or not?
Look, that's not what we have to accommodate. We have to go on with the subject-verb agreement that the sentence needs itself. It doesn't mean that whenever it asks with was, the next sentence should be with was again. No, that's not the case. Okay. Here we have the subject, the tour guides. So when the tour guides, it's plural. So we have to choose the verb based on the subject. It's what we have as subject-verb agreement. Okay, we have another answer. Who were showed. No, it's adjective clause. Look, we have the tour guides. Tour guides, it's noun. So After that, we have the adjective clause, who showed as around the old city. It's the adjective clause which modifies tour guides. Which tour guides? The tour guides who showed us around the old city. And then, since we have the tour guides as plural, so we have to use were. So the correct answer is the tour guides who showed us around the old city were fantastic. Okay, thank you everyone. So let's go to the next part. It was our first task on the writing section. Build a sentence task. The next task, task 2, and then task 3. Task 2 is an email, okay? In the email writing section or task, we're given, first of all, a scenario, okay? A scenario that a student might encounter in everyday life or at university, in college, or in any other academic situations. That email might be written for the purpose to recommend, for example, to invite, to ask for solutions, to suggest a problem, to somehow so other numerous kinds of situations that a student might face in a college or a university. So we have to pay attention to the context. Context, what I mean is that when we are writing, we have to be careful of who we write, under what context, okay? Because when we understand who we write for, it will determine what tune of language should we use. For example, if you are writing for a classmate, your tune of your language is different from when you write for a professor at college. When you write an email to a professor at college, so the tune is more formal. It uses a high level of formality. So the ideas are logically connected in formal ways. However, in some cases, we might write an email for other students, or we might face situations to write an email for our close friend, our family, other members, right? So at that time, the tune that we use into the email will be totally different. So understanding the tune of, understanding the context, right? Understanding who we write, they all help us to choose the wording. They all help us to choose how and what language to use to deliver our message logically. So that's for the email. And here in writing the email, we have overall 7 minutes, totally 7 minutes. Okay, it's not a long time. So we have to be a fast typer at the same time. We have to structure our response, plan it, write it, date it, review it, everything in 7 minutes. Okay, on real test. So we don't have a lot of time. Now, the thing is, what it evaluates, or simply many students ask, why do we have this? Why do we have it? The thing is, when we have write an email task, it simply evaluates our communication skills. Okay, it simply evaluates our ability whether we can produce that communicative purpose through email or not. Okay, because email writing is an important skill nowadays. And while we are writing the email, are we able to follow specific social conventions or not? So we'll talk about what do we mean by social conventions. It's a different topic. Are we able to use the right format or not? It is checking that ability. Secondly, it checks our ability on whether we can, as a test taker, whether we can support our argument in the email or not. Can we clearly and cohesively explain our message in the email or not? So this is the second thing they're evaluating. The third thing is, are we able to use the right syntactic variety into our email or not? When I say syntactic variety, it means, are we able to use the right grammatical structure, the right word, the word choice which is made, and how different structures are connected logically to each other. Okay, so it is called syntactic variety, from grammar to vocabulary. Are they appropriately used in the email or not? So that's the third thing it evaluates. The fourth thing is, as I mentioned, it also tests our ability on social conventions, mechanical conventions. These mechanical conventions, for example, could be spelling, could be punctuation, could be capitalization, could be social conventions like greeting, like purpose, like your explanation to the email, like closing, like sign-off words. These are social conventions that we have actually in the format of the email. Beside that, is the person somehow observing the right tone in the email or not? Which is commonly politeness, for example. Formality, registers. They're social conventions that would be important. So basically, that's what we have as email. So before going to the academic discussion, let me show you an email task. It is what we might face on a test. As you can see, first of all, there is a scenario, as I stated. We have the scenario, first of all, written. We can see it, and it can change, okay? The scenario for our email can change in a variety of situations. After the scenario, it gives us 3 bullet points. What we have to write in our email, what we need to include inside the email. They're all the bullet points. It means while we are writing, we have to write what these 3 bullet points ask. So let's get into this. For example, it says, you are a student in Professor Kim's sociology class. Last week, you submitted your midterm essay via the class website. Yesterday, you checked your grade and were surprised to see it was much lower than you expected. When you opened the file that was graded, you realized it was an older draft of your essay, not the final version. You still have the correct final version saved on your computer. So this is the scenario. This is the scenario. Now, what we should do in our email, write an email to Professor Kim. In your email, do the following. Which ones? These. First, in your email, we have to write these things. Clearly explain the problem and how you noticed the wrong version was graded. How you noticed the wrong version was graded. It is the first bullet point. It is called bullet point. Second, ask if you can send the final version and have your grade changed. So this is the second thing we need to include in our email. And the third bullet point, ask when you can expect a reply. And the number of words, it's unlimited. Write as much as you can and incomplete sentences. As far as the sentences are complete, no matter how many words you write, in 7 minutes. And the next section we have here, it is already given, okay? On real test, you have it already on the screen. To whom do you write? And what's the subject of your email? These two are given already. The next thing is your area to write. So we'll have 7 minutes to read and write the whole email. Understood? So, sorry. Now let's go on to the next. If there would be any question on this part. So let's get into the next part. The next part is what we have as academic discussion task. It was the email. In academic discussion task, first of all, we'll face a post, okay? There is a professor's post and 2 students responded to the online class discussion, okay? So we'll have the post, and that post actually contains, first of all, the professor's background knowledge and 2 other students expressing their response to what the professor asked. And our section would be to do 2 things. 1, express and support our opinion. Second, make a contribution to what other students say. When I say contribution, it simply means that we may show agreement or disagreement to the students' ideas. We might agree with one of them, or we might disagree with one of them. So, the overall time which is given is 10 minutes. 10 minutes to prepare and write our response, and it, or the academic discussion task, evaluates our response based on these criteria, these areas. First, are we able to clearly elaborate on an argument for a position? For example, you might say, I agree with the professor's idea. So, are you able to elaborate your argument? Are you able to provide enough argument for that? Enough support for your position or not? So elaborating on the argument and responding to that one is a critical issue, an academic discussion task. Next is, are we providing enough support? Are they clear, cohesive, or not? So as we had write an email similar to that. Are we able to use the right vocabulary to explain it? Are we able to use the right structure, the right grammatical sentences or not? So that's the next thing. And again, mechanical conventions and social conventions are also important points. So let's get into an academic discussion task. Yeah, the academic discussion task looks like this. Once for a minute, read it, and then I will explain what it is and how it works. So, are you done reading? Okay, very good. So let's see, first of all, what we have on the first part of academic discussion task. As you can see, this screen or this academic discussion task is divided actually in 4 parts. The first part is called this area. Okay. Then we have the next area here, which is the professor's point of view or background idea with the question. And then we have the third area, which is students' responses to the question. And then we have our area on the test to write. So let's take a look at the first part, what we have here. Look, it says, your professor is teaching a class on sociology. Look, the class will be different. And whenever we are on the real test, it is also important to identify what type of class is the professor in. Is it a sociology class? Is it a political science class? Is it a cosmology class? Is it art class, history class, psychology class, education? Which type of class is the professor teaching? Or this post is related to? Why am I emphasizing on the class? It is because anything that we have in the rest of or second part is related to the type of class. If the class is a political science class, so the topic which comes next, the question which comes next is related to political science. If the class is education, so the question or the background idea which is given next will be related to education. Similarly, with psychology, with art, with history, so they're all related to the kind of class. So that's the first thing. On sociology, write a post responding to the professor's question. It means at the end the professor asks a question. In your response, you should do these 2 important things. First, express and support your personal opinion. 1 important thing. Second, make a contribution to the discussion. It means take part in what other students say. Show acknowledgement to one of them. So this is part of expectation. The third important thing in this introductory section or in the first part is the number of words. The ETS recommends that test takers should write at least 100 words. It is at least. It means that it's better to write more than 100 words. Usually, high score responses would be over 120, okay? 120 plus. If you would be able to write 140, 150 words or more than that based on your typing skill, based on your response, so you can arrange that. Okay, time management is important, very important, because we only have 10 minutes to answer this task, to do all the things: reading, planning, writing, editing, and submitting. Everything in 10 minutes. Okay, so time management is very important. We have to be able to manage it effectively. These 3 sections are on the first part. Now let's go to the next part. The next part of the academic discussion, we can see two important points. Okay. The first part or the first point is the background knowledge, background information provided. And the second part is the question which asks, and the test taker should respond that question. Let's read it. For the past few classes, we have been discussing the concept of social mobility. Look, it tells you what is social mobility, which refers to the ability of individuals or families to move up or down the social hierarchy. It is called social mobility. You have studied adjective clause. So this is adjective clause and it modifies. If you remember, in our last classes, we have studied context clue. And one type of context clue was definition. If you remember, definition context clue. This is a context clue that defines the word social mobility. I think you don't know what is social mobility, so it's a word and familiar word. We have to use context clue. This clause is modifying. This clause as a whole is a definition context clue. It gives more information or defines what is social mobility. So this is the ability of an individual or families to move up or down the social mobility. Some argue that education is the key to social mobility, while others believe that networking and personal connections are more important. So this is background. First of all, the professor has stated the concept. Concept is social mobility. Then the professor stated what others believe. Okay, some believe that education is the key to move up to a higher position in a society. Others believe that social networking and personal connections are more important. Now, what or which point of view, which viewpoint do you agree with and why? This is the question we have to answer in our response. So overall, we have background, then we have the question. Again, we'll discuss the types of questions that we might face, how kinds of questions we may have. So the next part is students' responses. This is the next part. In students' response, each of these two provided their answers. They gave their answers. Let's say Kelly, I believe that education is the key to social mobility. With a good education, individuals can acquire the knowledge and the skills needed to access better job opportunities and improve their social status. We have always been taught that education provides a foundation for long-term success and upward mobility. So this is what Kelly thinks. She believes that education is more important for social mobility. It is a key for that. It provides opportunities. It provides the improvement chance to the social status and going up. Now, the second student, in my opinion, it's Andrew. In my opinion, networking and personal connections are more crucial for social mobility. So Andrew thinks that networking is more important than education. Knowing the right people can open doors to opportunities that education alone might not provide. Therefore, personal connections can lead to job offers, mentorship, and other advantages that help individuals climb the social ladder. So there are different points of view. First, we have Kelly's idea, which expresses education as the important or key to social mobility. And the second, Andrew, uh, who expresses networking and personal connections as key to social mobility. And then after that, we have our area to write. In this part, we have to uh, do these two important things: express and support our personal opinion, and then make a contribution to the discussion. So that's it. That's what we have on academic discussion task. This is another one. You may please read it and then tell me what's the question. What does the professor want the other students to do? Yep.
Excuse me, teacher, can we have a little bit, please? I can't see.
Zoom it.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Which part should I zoom? Is it okay now?
Yes, it is better. Thank you.
Yep. Academic discussion is the same. Yes, Miss Ferishta.
Okay, teachers, just I want to say regarding this, first passage that it's expressed by Dr. Dice, I think. Teachers, the background of this text is that the teenagers should take, a part-time job because they should, upcoming responsible. And the next one, the question is that should parents argue teenage children to get a job? Why or why not? It's the question, but the background is about the teenage, the teenager.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. So, who can tell the overall idea, the background, the question, the students' ideas? Just one person. Miss Wajiha.
Hello and good afternoon, good evening actually. This writing is about a class on child development, and the Dr. Dias speak about the working or the importance of encouraging the parent for working of the teenager. And we have the two point of view from two students. Claire said that it's a good point and made an agreement about this statement. And Andrew has the opposite side of this and support his idea with some reasons.
Exactly. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Thank you very much. So, The next part, next session, tomorrow, we'll discuss the rest of the topics, common requirements, into the email, academic discussion task. So we will discuss the other one in the next session, inshallah. So, are there any questions for now? Yes, Miss Kamali.